So we're going to move on to college. Did you break your elbow in college?
No, I broke it when I was 5.
All right. We're trying to go chronologically. We're back in Pittsburgh. What happened? Show your arm first. That's as far as you can straighten it.
I have to tell my rehab
You look very German right now. Put it down. Okay, so how did you hurt your arm?
I parachuted out of a tree to impress my neighbor girl and landed on a rock on my elbow. And in those days, the only thing they knew to do was to cut it open and operate on it. That's all they did. That's why it's crooked.
Parachute?
Yeah, without a parachute.
You just jumped out.
I jumped
Do you remember the girl's name?
Janet Miller.
I can always tell the names that he's going to follow with the nationality. Janet Miller's not one of them.
We're all waiting like, nope, not Paul.
All right, you ready to go to college?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
I had an old school philosophy, and that was that I might be playing with guys that are better, or I might be competing grade-wise with guys that are smarter. But nobody has more energy than I do, and I can outwork them. And I really believed that, and I did my whole IBM career. And I did outwork them, man.
So, college, you were playing basketball. What else do you remember about college? What did you guys do for fun? What was that like?
Fraternity.
You were in a fraternity?
Sigma Chi fraternity. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, I was the something of Tau chapter, same as president, except we used big Latin words. So that was interesting. As I said, I was president of that. And something else in the whole school, vice president or something, I had something to do with the honor system. That was interesting.
So you were an athlete, a
Politician.
student leader,
Yeah.
a Greek leader, fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
So you were a big man on campus.
Yes, because it was a very small school. Only 700 kids in the school. But the whole basketball team was on scholarship, so we used to be able to play much better schools than we were in terms of size, bigger schools.
Because you were good.
Well, we were good because they were all on scholarship. Yeah, we were pretty good. And one guy that was 7 feet tall, and another guy that played center that was 6'11" that could dunk. The guy that was 7 feet couldn't dunk. Dutch Heineck. Dutch's head was 2.5 feet tall.
Maybe that's why he couldn't dunk.
It was, probably. Yeah, he couldn't get that head up high enough. Oh, it was a little culture shock because when we, you couldn't, we saw things like the signs that said for the drinking fountain, no cowards or coward only to go to the bathroom.
No, Pittsburgh didn't have that.
No, Pittsburgh didn't have it at all. You had to fight your way into the bathroom in Pittsburgh.
Against everybody. But in college, you played in the South, so all the teams you played were white.
Yes.
No
black ever played against us. That's why I was able to play 4 years. First team. I have to admit that.
What was the best team you played against? Not beat, but played against in your 4 years?
Iona. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
I guarded a guy who the year after I guarded him, he led the National Basketball League in scoring. I held them to 28 points in the first half of the first quarter.
Do you remember his name?
Oh yeah, Richie Guerin. He was the best guy I ever guarded. And he was big. He was like 6'4", and would just go in and into the bucket, into the pivot, and they'd throw him a little bounce pass, and he'd turn and brush me down onto the ground almost. And he could also shoot a set shot from like that, real quick, and make every one. What the hell do I do with this guy? I mean, I could be slugging him, hitting him. Well, Helen was a sweet lady, and she didn't believe me when I told her that I had been in the Marines. She just took one look at me and listened to my bullshit and knew that I couldn't possibly have been in the Marines or I'd have been dead.
Do you remember where you first met? When you first started talking, or when you asked her out for a date? Do you remember any of the details?
Well, I just remember talking with her a lot.
Were you in classes together?
Some, not very many. She was taking hard subjects. And the thing I remember the most was my French class, because I had good grades in high school and good grades in college, but the one thing I couldn't do was foreign languages, Latin or French. Fortunately, the professor liked basketball players, thank heavens. That was good. That saved my butt, because I'd get a paper back with red marks all over it, 71, 72. And that's the worst grades I always got in college was French. And this guy saved my butt by running me through. But Helen did all my homework. She would do it. She was good in French. And she was also taking hard courses. She took some kind of organic. Organic was a dreaded class. If anybody took that, they were kind of nuts. And, had to really struggle to get past it because it was so hard. I didn't take that at all. I did ace my major, though, economics.
Nice. So what attracted you to this Helen Sweeney girl?
She was very, very pretty, had a great, beautiful hair, most beautiful hair. That probably attracted me, that, and she spoke really well, and we talked a lot.
She was a New Englander.
Yeah.
So what was that like meeting her family?
Oh, she wasn't a New Englander then. She lived on the shore of Rhode Island, which is worse. Freaking Rhode Island, holy gee.
It was very different than Bethel Park.
Oh, yeah, they didn't.
What was new to you that was like, whoa, I haven't done this before?
There was this big thing of water not far from there called an ocean. And I didn't know how to handle that. I'd go in there and I'd be frozen. I mean, it was like going into ice water. And I was skinny as a rail, still 145, but fast. And I would get the hell out of that ocean as fast as I could. And Helen was like a very good swimmer and tan as could be, and looked good in her suit, all kinds of suits. And I just didn't like the ocean much at all. I still don't like the ocean much at all.
Strange for a Navy man.
Yeah. Well, it was the sharks that worried me the most. I worry about your daughters the most going in.
We're not going to talk about sharks right now.
But now that brings me to the most exciting time I had on the ship when I decided that I didn't like the guy who was the deck officer of the day.
Well, this is a Navy story.
Navy story,
Okay,
yeah.
wait a minute. We're out of college. We're out of college now.
But we'll, there we go.
That's kind of a red, white, and blue hat.
Nice.
Okay.